Now, probably my favorite part about making these videos is the fact that I get to chat with, in the comments of course, so many fellow fans of Star Wars. And in the time I've been doing this, I've had a great many friendly conversations and several spirited debates. And through them, I have not only learned more about Star Wars itself, but also what others think of it, what they like about it, don't like about it, how they interpret it, and what they feel it should be in the future. And all in all, I've talked a lot of Star Wars, and for that, I am truly grateful. So what I want to do here in this video, and in future ones like it perhaps, is try and start some good discussions. I'm going to ask us all a question, give my thoughts on it both ways, and then open it up to all of you in the comments, where I hope to respond and chat with as many of you as possible, and maybe even make a follow-up video in a week's time or so. And even though I will read all the comments, I can't promise I can respond to all of them, so if I don't get to yours, please do not take it personally. Anyway, the question I want to ask is this: did Palpatine, or Darth Sidious if you prefer, intentionally lose to Mace Windu during the events of Revenge of the Sith, somehow knowing Anakin would show up in the nick of time to find him at the end of Mace Windu's saber? Now, I'll immediately bring up perhaps the biggest problem with this theory. The timing had to be absolutely impeccable, and if one little thing had gone wrong, Palpatine could have easily been killed. It also goes under the assumption that Palpatine somehow knew Anakin would indeed return to save him, if you will. Or perhaps Palpatine thought when the Jedi came back to arrest him, they would bring Anakin with them, and Palpatine's original plan was to manipulate that situation and turn Anakin against them at that point. One way or another, I do think it's plainly obvious that Palpatine did want the Jedi to come and attack him. After all, when he initially told Anakin he was a Sith Lord, or should I say when Anakin figured it out, he was more than happy to let Anakin go back to the Jedi Council and tell them. And this is obviously because Palpatine's plan all along was to be attacked by the Jedi, and to use that as an excuse to execute Order 66 and have the Jedi killed. Because he did, after all, need some type of event to convince the rest of the galaxy, and in particular the Senate, that the Jedi had turned on the Republic, and furthermore, to turn the Republic into the First Galactic Empire. Palpatine also says when the Jedi arrive that they have arrived sooner than expected. Now this is a curious line. Clearly he knew the Jedi would be coming for him. So did he say that because some other piece of his plan wasn't quite in place yet? Did he say it because Anakin wasn't there as he had expected, either with the Jedi or by coming on his own? I also think it's clear Palpatine knew Anakin would be there at this crucial encounter, because either he had foreseen it, or he just, through careful planning and knowing Anakin so well, knew he would eventually show up. Because we also know that Palpatine knew that Anakin was having visions of Padme dying in childbirth, because he does tell Anakin that he was essentially the key from saving his wife from certain death. And keep in mind, Anakin never tells Palpatine he's having these visions. To me, this is pretty good evidence for the fact that Palpatine was the one causing the visions in the first place. And then when you consider he told Anakin about Darth Plagueis earlier in the movie, who could save the ones he loved from death, I believe it becomes clear that Palpatine was somehow causing the visions all along, or at the very least had somehow picked up on them. But does all of this mean Palpatine's plan was to have Anakin find him about to be killed by Windu after he had intentionally lost to him? Would he risk everything on a plan with so many variables? Again, the timing would have to be perfect, and then Anakin would actually have to save him from Windu. I mean, what if Anakin had convinced Windu not to kill him and that he should be arrested instead? Or what if Anakin had just watched him be executed? However, there is one other thing to keep in mind here: Palpatine's foresight. How many times in the movies do we hear him speak of how everything is proceeding as he had foreseen? So it is possible that he foresaw the Jedi coming to arrest him, and that he would be at the end of Windu's saber, only to have Anakin save him and turn to the dark side. And did Palpatine, whose greatest weakness was his overconfidence, believe in himself enough to interpret this vision correctly and go along with it? If not, I believe the question then becomes, just what was his plan? Because, again, we know he had set some sort of plan in motion by the fact that he wanted the Jedi to come for him at this point. Otherwise, he never reveals his secret to Anakin, much less lets him go back and tell the Jedi about it. There's also the fact he casually waited for them in his office to come back and try to arrest him. So let's then say that Palpatine wins that fight, assuming he wanted to and of course could, and he kills Mace Windu. Then what? Are 4 dead Jedi in his office all the proof he needs to convince the Senate that the Jedi tried to assassinate him and that the Republic needs to be made into an empire under his protection? Maybe, but the problem is then Anakin. How does Palpatine turn him to the dark side now? Because what if Anakin had still shown up after Windu had been killed and found just 4 dead Jedi? what does Palpatine say to him at this point? Would it be as simple as him saying, "They attacked me, I did what I had to do, and now let's go save Padme"? Or does Anakin attack him and get himself killed, making it 5 dead Jedi in his office, all dead from lightsaber wounds, which is very highly suspicious if that information ever got out? Well, now is when I turn it over to all of you. Do you think it was Palpatine's plan to lose to Windu, get himself scarred and deformed to generate sympathy, and then have Anakin ultimately save him, which would also turn him to the dark side? Because I have to say, that's a hell of a plan, but one where so many things could have gone wrong. Then again, he may have foreseen the whole thing playing out just like that. Or do you think Windu beat him fair and square, and whatever Palpatine's real plan was, didn't go as it was supposed to, and he ended up getting very lucky the way things played out? And if that is the case, just what do you think his actual plan was? So leave a comment below, tell me what you think, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.